Oh, thanks.
I thought you were wearing a sari or something, like an Indian garment or something.
It does kind of have Indian vibes, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of Indian vibes, okay, did you watch The Buried Truth about Indrani Mukherjee?
I don't even know who Andrade Mukherjee is. Is that a Bollywood star?
No, so her and her husband, Peter Mukherjee, they like own like one of the biggest channels in Bollywood, like network channels. And so they're like a very wealthy,
Oh, Ambanis, the Ambanis. Yes.
I don't know. So, but did you hear how like her sister went missing? And so they open up this case, a body surfaces, they say it's hers. Lo and behold, it's not her sister, it's her daughter. And she's the one who went to prison for 4 years for murdering her, but then she's got out because she's got this huge, amazing lawyer that's like, oh, well, we don't even know if, she's actually dead. We don't know if that body you found was actually hers. Anyways, the whole series, the twists and turns, and I'm sorry if anyone is watching it and hasn't seen it. I don't want to like spoiler alert, but a little bit of that was, it's fascinating. It's fascinating. And she's on Instagram. So I started following her, and my kids were like, Mommy, are you following a murderer? Like, please stop. I was like, well, I want to know what if she goes to prison or if maybe she didn't murder her. I don't know.
Wait, so she's being investigated for killing someone in India, and she's scot-free right now.
She's scot-free right now, and the person she killed was her daughter that everyone thought was her sister.
Wow. Only in Bollywood. Well, I guess actually a lot of these murder cases, you're like, how does this even happen in life? So this is
the stuff that happens in the Bollywood true crime world, Bollywood, Indian, just India. This happens to be Bollywood, but it's crazy stuff. Like I watched a series about a woman who was poisoning family members in the chana masala with arsenic, and people were dying, and they didn't catch on till like the sixth family member was killed from eating her curry.
Yeah, well, I feel like this is also just crime in general because I just saw this. I saw this news case, and it was actually pretty horrific. And this guy was treating people who had chemo, who didn't have cancer, and he would just give them chemo for the insurance money. So, and he just got busted, and he did this for I think over a decade. So the crimes that people commit, it's just kind of insane how people process and then it sounds like movie. They sound like real life movies coming to life of the
It's frightening time right now. I mean, who's this? Jackson Judah just wrote, "Repent and believe in the gospel. Jesus loves you." I mean,
your fan, Shazia.
Yay! No, we need that. You need to. There's some horrific things you're reading about out there, but yeah, these true crime series. I know my husband's like, "Why do you watch this? And how do you go to bed at night turning that off? Like, what is your problem?" And I'm like, I'm fascinated that humans can do these things, especially as an actor, because you're like, well, what does it take for someone to lose their mind? And it usually is that they have no spiritual life to fall back on, and someone's been mean to them, and now they're mean to other people, or they're tempted by greed, power, all of those things that seem to be really big in the true crime India stuff.
Well, I kind of think people are mostly on the edge to begin with, but everybody just does a better job covering it up. Like everybody's somewhat just kind of skirting the line. Like you just like in our profession, it's almost like encouraged that we exhibit this in some capacity in a public forum. But there are lawyers and I'm sure like doctors or whatever accountants, and they're just driving to work every day. Like I'm going to drive this car over this bridge. I swear to God, right now. Like we're gonna just. Have you seen Falling Down, the movie with I can't think of his name. Michael Douglas, Falling Down, and he's and he just goes to work and like he just like goes ape shit and he just like starts starts killing people on his way to work. He gets stuck in traffic, and so it's about his adventure. It's really a great movie. I gotta forward it to you. The trailer.
Well, I'm worried that people are not being able to tell now the difference, and they're acting out movies that they see that are not supposed to be real life, and it's happening in real life, and that's scary. That's scary because then you don't feel safe anywhere that you go. If someone's on the edge and about to lose it, that's not good. It makes you not
Well,
want to go to a mall.
well, it's kind of like the school shootings. Like, do you remember any school shootings in the '80s? I don't. But after the Columbine thing, after
Copycats.
yeah, after people actually saw what could be done, they're like, "Oh wow, this is a thing we can do. We can actually go to places and shoot them up." Before, when I was growing up, they would do bomb threats and they would call in advance. They're like, "Yo, there's gonna be a bomb at the post office. Please, everybody evacuate." Like that was the way they did threats, which is crazy. Now people uh, just go shoot up malls and etc.
Yeah, it's not safe these
It's
days. Scary time.
it's Satan's work, Shazia.
It is. It is. It's the dark side. It's whatever you want to call it. It's dark. It's wicked. And uh, it's
Well,
it's it's tough because I feel like I'm a really big proponent on like you just got to love people. You got to be the love that they need.
oh God, the love, Jesus Christ.
I think so. Because if you start hating people, then that eats you up too, you know? And I think that there's so much, people are so divided right now rather than being like, okay, we're all human. I'm going to love you. I'm not, and love doesn't mean love like what we think. It just means showing compassion and empathy. Asking someone how their day is love.
Yeah,
Knocking on your neighbor's door and being like, "Hey, I'm Tarun. I just moved in and I'm your neighbor. Nice to meet you." That is showing love. In my mind, at least. It's just connecting because we're so disconnected and we're all on our phones and we need human connection. That's why people join gangs. They want to be a part of a family, a crew. Am I on a tangent? I'll be quiet.
no. I'm just imagining this guy joining a gang, and he's like, Why are you joining MS-13 gang?" And he's like, "Nobody knocked on my door to welcome me in my neighborhood, so I am joining this gang."
Listen, he might have been on his way to join a gang and someone knocked on his door with a dozen cookies and was like, "Welcome to the neighborhood. Every Wednesday we have a bonfire and we'd love for you to come." That could stop him from joining whatever or doing whatever. You don't know, Tarun. And a small act of kindness, everyone's like, "Oh, there's so much craziness in the world. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm just this one little person. What am I supposed to?" You're supposed to just do what you can in your little circle that you have. That means checking in on family members, checking in on friends, not being quick to judge someone who's different than you, right? Like, eh, love people. And that doesn't mean you go out of your way to hug them and love them. No, it just means check on them, say hi, connect.
This sounds exhausting to me. I, I just can't give too much. Man, there was this neighbor who I met like 20 years ago. I've been in the same place for 20 years, and I made the mistake of saying hi to her once and introducing myself. And I swear to God, she knocks on my door like once a week with the dumbest stuff about like signing petitions to keep dogs out of the building, or some rumor about the swimming pool. I'm like, dude, I wish I never talked to you. And after that, I never talked to anybody, any new neighbors, and it's a godsend because everybody ignores me. I ignore them. I mean, I'll probably die in this apartment, like trapped under my table or something, and nobody will come check on me. But for that 50 years of peace, it was worth it.
Okay.
I'm just telling you. But
I
you know what? I think everybody's different though, Shazia. Everybody's like got a different operating system.
If I was your neighbor and I knocked on the door and I was like, here is a bouquet of flowers. I was out on a walk. I picked these. It's an old jar. Anyways, just wanted to say I hope this makes your day better. I mean, it might brighten your day and you'd be like, I'm glad I talked to that neighbor. You just don't like that she's coming to you with an agenda all the time.
Yes. I think, if she showed up with a bouquet of flowers, that'd be a lot different. But nobody's,
Yeah.
you know,
Or cookies, or just left cookies on your doorstep. But unless you were in a true crime Bollywood series, those cookies could have poison in them and you could die.
yeah, well, there was a neighbor who's like this pretty Indian girl who's been in my hall forever. And I always think about like some weird sexual fantasy with her because like she'd like write down the, but she's got a daughter, so like, but now the daughter's in college, so now I'm like, now I can really make my move. But I just don't want to risk the peace of mind I have with like, I don't want some girl knocking my door every other day, like, hey, what's up? Let's make lasagna together. Mm. So even that, I put a roadblock on, which is really unlike me. But
Wow.
yeah,
Okay. All
so I
right.
guess I do have willpower, or I don't know. Well, I'm glad you're watching stuff on Netflix. I think maybe you should do a recap show and stuff. Where you like, because I feel like you're really good at that. Where
Uh,
you care about programming.
I get into it. I really do get into it. And yeah. Anyways, I get excited too when I watch the stuff from India and then they're speaking in Hindi and then they're like, I understand it. I don't know. There's something nostalgic about hearing your own language because actually Urdu Hindi was my first language. I learned English from watching Airplane and Three's Company.
Um, I think we made this. I think I made this joke before, so I'm just gonna skip it. No, it was like your first sentence was like, "Larry, get out of the kitchen." Or something.
Yes, it was Larry. Yes, it's Jack and Larry and Mr. Roper, and that was English. So yeah, when I hear or see my native language, I get very nostalgic with it. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna keep watching this. I know what they're saying.
Who do you speak Hindi with in Texas?
Nobody.
Like God, you have like these actor moments where like it's like when I just asked you that question, it was like you're being interrogated. Like, who else was at the house with you? And you were just like, you took a beat, and you were like, nobody. But you actually killed everybody in that house. You know what I'm saying? Like you've got these actor. Um, no, I'm asking because I hung out with these Indian guys yesterday. These Indian comics, and I never hang out with Indian people, but it was so nice to hang out with them. Just it's not we spoke Hindi or anything, but it was just like cool to hang out with people from your culture, right? People who just have a similar background as you.
Yeah,
And we had chai at this guy's place, and it was really awesome. I had a great time, and I never really hang out with people.
I
So,
crave that too. I really like that. That's why when I went to Miami and I saw my friend Zena, it was just like it felt like home sense. Like you said, we're raised the same. Our parent, like we know each other. We're same values and same cultural holidays and foods that we eat and just the way we go about life is so similar that it feels very comforting and nice.
well,
I had a good Desi community when I lived in LA. You know that. I mean, I was part of a big community, but yeah, in Texas, I don't know. No, nothing here so far.
how is the well? You were part of like this rich MILF scene out here, right? Indian Hindi MILF thing where like everybody's hot and like rich. Isn't that what you were part of? I forget.
I've never really heard it explained that way.
I just say what it is,
In
Shazia.
hindsight, perhaps I could see how it could be that. Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of drama in that world.
Well, you'd be surprised. They're good gals. There can be drama. It just depends on what state of mind you're in at the time.
See, that would be a great TV show. I bet there's a show already about that, about like rich Indian wives.
I think there is. There was something at least. But
Of Marina Del Rey. Is that where you lived?
yeah. So we were different. The rich housewives of Atlanta that are Indian are going to be a different breed than the Marina Del Rey, Manhattan Beach Indian housewives, cuz we're kind of SoCal, beachy, hippie, dippy, but also Beverly Hills, like restaurants. And
I mean,
I was like a I mean, I shouldn't have been in that group. I was just, tagging along. It was fun.
well, how did you get in that group?
I lived in the marina.
So they just recruited you?
So, I mean, there was a friend of a friend who was a guy that used to hang out in a different crowd that I used to be a part of in my 20s, who saw my like Facebook update that said I lived in Marina Del Rey. And he's like, "Hey, Shazia, I live in Marina Del Rey. I'm married now. I have a kid." I said, "I'm married now. I have a kid." He's like, "Well, why don't I set up a play date for you and my wife?" And so we met with our strollers on the corner of like some block, and we went for a walk. And that just kind of led into me meeting the whole crew, and it was fun.
Yeah, that's good. I think kids are a good gateway for life. Like, I feel like I'd have more of a life if I had like a kid. Just to have like a kid, just hey, this is Billy.
Totally. No, all of our friends right now are our kids' friends' parents.
You like them all? Are they all cool?
The crew here in Texas, yeah, I'm really happy here. Good quality, solid people, and I mean, so far so good.
Yeah, LA's a wasteland of people.
Well, in
But
LA, people are coming and going. And so, you start to become close to someone, and then they move back to Ohio, or one of my good friends landed a job in New York. And then it was like 17 seasons later, she's still filming the same show. So, I mean, I just
wow, what show?
lost
What show is she on?
Blue Bloods.
Blue Bloods with Tom Selleck. That one.
No, it's with the Donnie Wahlberg.
Oh, there's so many shows. I have no idea. Good for her. She's been on the show for 17 seasons. That's terrific.
But like she's from Pasadena. Like we met when we were 19, good friends, and then yeah, she ended up booking the show. So like by the time we started having kids and we were married, it's like she's in New York, I'm in LA. So anyways, I'm saying that's the thing why it's hard in LA to have these long friendships. Someone moves.
Yeah, I told you I went to this party and I knew so many people who have been here for like decades. In fact, somebody said to me, one of the Indian guys yesterday, he goes, "You're like an OG of the Indian comedians." I was like, "What?" He's like, "Oh yeah, you were like," and I was like, "God, you kind of don't want to hear that," but I was like, "I guess so." You just forget how time moves really fast, and
Yes. We
like
have been around for a while. I mean, yeah,
yeah.
I know. Certainly I have. You were there. I mean, I met you at least 20 years ago.
Well, I started in '97, I think. It's my first
Yeah.
time, but that's fine. It's just you go along with it and you go through these different transitions in life and you go along with the waves of it and hopefully you hit another wave where it's exciting to you again because otherwise and you're in Texas. I think you do the right thing because you keep moving and I think when you keep refreshing your surroundings, it's a good thing.
I like it. I know I need to stay here for a little bit for my kids to have like a sense of security and where they are. But I think if it were just up to Stuart and I, we'd be trying new places often.
Like where would you go?
Well, I would like to try living in Costa
Hyderabad.
Hyderabad, no, Costa Rica.
Yeah.
Um, we've tried. I mean, I wouldn't mind also looking into like some of the beach communities in like South Carolina. I have a friend over there in like Daniel Island, so I've never lived on the East Coast. I would go to Florida, but I do like some of the hurricane stuff frightens me. But you know, You were there. You did fine. I saw you out during the hurricane, like trying to go get a coffee or something.
Yeah, Florida's okay. You know, I don't want to trash it too much. I just have some negative memories, some personal stuff. But I thought Florida in general. I mean, I can only speak of the comedy scene there, and the crowds there are terrific. Like people just, it's almost like another country. Sometimes I felt like people are just there to have a good time. Here, people get offended if you say the wrong word, right?
Offended or judgy. That's why I'm saying you got to just love each other. Let that go. I would also like to live in New Hampshire. I was looking at some properties up there recently on a lake, and I'm like, oh, this is amazing. And I could grow my own food here. I don't know. It looked pretty neat.
Grow your own food, in New Hampshire. What are you gonna
Yeah,
grow in New
there's
Hampshire?
like whole homestead communities up there. I'll grow anything I could eat.
Shazia. No, you won't. What are you talking about? Growing. You're gonna
I'll
grow
do.
your own food?
I would like to.
Now, when I say grow, I don't mean go to Sprouts and like pick out like vegetables. Like you're gonna like actually get the seeds and plant them and water them and harvest them.
I took a whole course on a farm last year for 6 weeks, and we started from seeds. So I just don't have, I guess I have some space, but it's more, Texas is a hard environment to grow in. It's not like California. In California, I planted tomatoes outside of my apartment in Larchmont Village, and it was like I had tomatoes, like massive amounts of tomatoes within months, because California has a climate that grows a lot of produce in. Um, and then I had an avocado tree, I had a fig tree. I used to have so many avocados, I would put them in front of my place and just be like, free, take them, or the possums are going to eat them. So,
Yeah, yeah, I was at my friend's place and he gave me a cantaloupe. He had a cantaloupe tree. I've never heard of this. So he had like a cantaloupes growing out of his tree in the front yard. And he's like, this really nice neighborhood too. And he gave me a cantaloupe. So I guess that's like a possible thing. You can just grow.
oh, yeah, I had a friend who had a banana tree in her backyard in Santa Barbara. And do you know how hard it is to grow bananas? Like she was able to master it. So I do want that. For me, I think that being self sustainable is super important, and having some kind of food in your garden, at the least herbs, at the least the things that make food taste good, like growing your cilantro and your mint and your basil and your thyme and your rosemary is, it just and it gives you control back of like what you're putting in your body.
Yeah, I think my body's poisoned at this point because I think I eat too many processed foods. Do you actually watch what you eat? Like natural food?
I eat clean as possible. I don't eat packaged food. I eat organic. I shop at the farmers market on Saturday mornings, so I get my meat, my eggs, my produce from the farmers market, and bread, and then I'll do supplemental stuff from the supermarket, things that my kids want to eat.
What about
But yeah,
your what about your fentanyl? Do you get that homegrown or do you actually go out on
yes,
the streets?
uh, home,
That
organic. Yeah.
or organic fentanyl. You make a killing here in LA because that's what people are doing now. The kids are doing.
Really?
Yeah, of course. People are. I know a guy I know just
So
overdosed on fentanyl like a couple weeks ago.
I was just gonna say, aren't people dying? Why are people doing it if they know that they can die from it?
Because coke's a great drug to do. Um, but now you just don't know. I made
Oh,
a joke.
so you're saying the Coke has the fentanyl in it.
Yeah, people lace coke with fentanyl.
Oh, I'm so out of the loop. Wow.
Yeah, you gotta get back on it. You gotta start doing drugs again, Shazia. So that's what kids are doing now. People are doing coke, and the coke is laced with fentanyl, and the fentanyl kills you.
That's so sad.
Well, you go out happy, I guess. Who knows? My friend died, and he was like obese, and I made a joke, and I was like, maybe they laced the cupcakes with fentanyl. Nobody laughed. Like
No.
you're
Poor guy.
Bethany says hi. I just want to acknowledge the fans who are watching this real quick. Bethany, thank you so much for coming on every week and supporting us.
Thank you, Bethany.
I hope you found Jesus, Bethany, through our podcast, because this is
I
what we
think that's Jackson Judah who.
oh. And the adventures of Steve, and maybe also said Fernando for some random reason. I just want to acknowledge these fans who support us every week and come back with their questions. I do appreciate it so much.
Yeah, me too. It's so kind.
Not to switch over into acting stuff, but I do see ads now for your show Descendants coming out, so I'm excited to see you, Shazia, in your show.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. See how much they kept in. Like they start off, they write one movie, they shoot another movie, and they edit something that you're like, that's the movie you put out. Like that was not the script. Um, so, but that's how it goes in our industry, right? Because you can edit. You could edit. I did a movie once, and if you look on my IMDb, it's called Mixing Karma. It's one story. And then they made an edit like 4 years later, like almost a different movie, and called it Breaking the Chains.
Mm, you just never know what the final thing is going to be.
No,
Jesus
and
loves the world, says Bethany. Thank you.
oh, Bethany. Um, yes. And yeah, to that too. I think that you never know. I've been cut out of things. I've been on shows where I've told everybody I'm going to be on it Tuesday night, 8 o'clock, Channel 4. Oops. I'm on the cutting room floor somewhere. They didn't have time for my little scene, whatever it was. Not
Oh,
that, it doesn't have to mean that you didn't do good. It's just they have a time, they have to fit critical story things in. So I'm curious to see whenever I do a film what the final product is because it's so different.
absolutely. I did a Disney pilot. I filmed the pilot, and they cut me out of the they cut me out of the series. They were like, "We're getting rid of your character," and I was like, "Oh, that's devastating." And it's like one
They,
phone call.
well, they say you're not a true actor until you've been at least cut out of one thing.
Yeah. Well,
Kind of part of the journey. You have to go through it.
yeah. Well, nobody can really prepare you for that because then you think like, "Oh my God, I'm on a show," and they're like, "Yeah, we're getting rid of your character." I was so happy when that show got canceled after one season. I was like, "Yeah, you get rid of me, this whole show goes down."
Isn't
But
that funny? I've done that in the past where it's like, oh, I went to producers for that show and they didn't book me, so I'm not going to watch it.
oh, I do that all the time. Are you kidding me? Um, I I auditioned to be this doctor. What was the movie? You know that it actually came out. It was what called Dog with Channing Tatum, and he's
Oh,
about. So I auditioned to be like a doctor in that movie, like a legit part in the movie. And I think they brought me back like once or twice, and they didn't cast me. And I was like, whoever they cast for this Indian person, like screw them. And then I look on the IMDb, and it was some like black chick who looks, and it's totally. I was like, what? This is totally different. And I
it
was like,
had nothing to do
I'm
with
not
you or
watching
your
this movie.
acting.
Yeah, I'm not watching this movie. I was like, I'm not even gonna watch this scene because I was pissed off over it. But
Well, the problem is we feel like our time isn't respected when something that like that happens. Like if you knew you wanted,
mm,
a character to look a certain way that's very opposite of me, but you made me work on it, countless nights, money spent on acting coaches, money spent on self taping, money spent on driving, parking, nights up,
mm.
time off work, and you wanted to go in that was the direction you were going in. It's disrespectful, I think, in some ways. Like, if you know what you want, see what you want.
Yeah, well, I just think it's part of the world. Like, I try not to take it too personal. Because this happened so many times and so many random things. I'm like, well, you start to let go. You have no control over it in this business, and when you book stuff, that's even how lucky you are. It makes you realize
Oh,
how
yeah.
where when things do align for you, you're like, all right, this is just I was in the right place, and hopefully I'm good enough. And
Well, I read somewhere where they were like, your job is auditioning, and that's it. If you get something great, don't approach any project like you're gonna get it because or don't like put too much into it, because that ends up showing. Just your job every day is to just do the self tapes, and that's it.
That's a good attitude. I think we should be an acting coach too. You ever coach actors out there, like young actors in Texas?
I
Come
have
over to my
coached actors.
ranch.
I have coached actors. I just coached this morning. My friend had 3 different co-star auditions, and so I hopped on a Zoom with her. We worked through the scenes. I'm not very like opinionated unless they ask me. I'm just like, yeah, that looks good, because it's a creative process, and my vision of something's going to be different than yours, and I'd rather see yours and work with that than give you mine. But yeah.
I, I don't know how I feel about coaching. I know some of my friends are diehard about it, but I feel like as actors, you should be able to make your own choices at this point. I just feel like it's more of like a security blanket. Like someone has to like validate you. Like, oh, I know what I'm doing, but like you shouldn't actually know what you're doing at this point.
I
I mean,
agree. I'll get a coach because sometimes I need to
mhm.
be pushed to take a risk. And like I recently had an audition and I got my acting coach, and he came over and he's like, "No, you're gonna do the New York accent." I was like, "Well, it's not asking for an accent anywhere in the breakdown." And he's like, "Yeah, but that it's an effortless accent for you and it matches who she is, so you're gonna do it." And had he not come over and kind of convinced me to do it, I wouldn't have done it. But who knows? I got no feedback. Maybe they were like, "What is she doing? Why is she speaking in an accent?" But whatever.
This coaching thing is such a racket. I'm sorry because like there's really no stakes in it. You basically just pay someone $150, whatever they're charging, and they get to like just mold this imaginary scene, and that's their job. You're like, all right, we did our job, and there's nothing you can say, oh, you did a great job or not, because who the hell knows? And then
Nobody knows.
you don't get a call back, and you're like, well, I made my money. Like it's such a like intangible abstract thing, coaching, like, and you get paid for that. That's a service. Like, there's so many businesses out there that people can
Yeah, you
cash
could
in
be
on.
a crappy coach, but no one's gonna know.
No one will ever know. I mean, yeah, I'm just saying there's no physical thing. There's no like transactional physical asset that you're just exchanging for a currency. You
Yeah.
know, it's just this interesting. Well, congratulations on this, Cameron. I'm glad. Are your students in Los Angeles or are they in Texas?
Well, I'm not charging people. They're not my
Oh,
students.
wow, look at you, Shazia. Helping people, helping the world.
Yeah, I know. I'm helping my these young actors with their audition. So yeah, no, they're in LA. She was in LA.
You can coach me on my imaginary auditions.
Yeah, sometimes it helps to just have someone else's eyes, and then I'll catch something that she didn't catch.
Mm,
Like like a couple sessions ago, she stormed out of the scene, and I was like, I'm like, I like the choice you're making. It's very powerful, but it's written that he storms out of the room, not you. So why don't you watch him storm out of the room and then put in a sound effect of a door slamming?
sure.
And she was like, "Oh my gosh, I thought I was leaving the room." And and then her brain had been convinced that she was leaving the room. So it's just stuff like that that I think, but I don't think people should charge $150. You should ask your friends that are actors to be like, "Hey, I just need another set of eyes on this."
Yeah, I agree with that 100% because especially the first round, like there's so many people. You forget how many people, especially with the self tape stuff. Like I guarantee you, there's so many more auditions. It's like this inbox of just. I remember I had this really good agent a few years ago, and she would tell me, "Get this in early. Like try to get this in early because if you get at the tail end, they're going to be swarmed with auditions. You know."
Well, they might have already found someone they love, so they're like, "Abandon ship, we got who we need." And then they'll present that to production. And then if they say no, then they'll go back and start back where they left off.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe you make a good producer, Shazia. You know, you've got so much experience.
I actually did think that would be a fun, also like a natural progression. But Who knows? I don't know. I don't know what the plan is. I'm just day by day walking through the doors that open.
What a great philosophy that is. That should be your title of your book. Walking through the doors that open.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not banging down any doors. Trust me. And
But shouldn't you have that tenacity to kick through doors? That used to be my philosophy. I've got to kick through the door.
I mean, maybe if I know that what's on the other side is massively beneficial, but I mean, I feel so blessed with what I have. Anything more is, just cherry on top. Like, I feel good.
Wow, that's great. God bless.
I know your inner monologue is so opposite than mine. It's
No,
okay. It's good.
well, I'm on the same page as you, but for different reasons. I don't have the energy to kick the door open. I just gently knock. I'm like, when it opens, it opens. But maybe it's an age thing. I just don't have the energy to attack things like I used
Well,
to.
you don't need to kick the door open, but you got to keep trying to turn the knob.
Yeah.
There may be many doors, but one of them is going to be an easy open. You're not going to have to shoot the knob off.
Can we just acknowledge Rico, who says one day at a time in appreciation of what you already have? Thank you,
Yes,
Rico,
Rico.
who writes this from jail, who appreciates his commuted sentence. So I'm sure
I
we
love.
went released to society, Rico,
Yeah, thank
like a
you.
Puerto Rican gangbanger. Text.
I'm praying for you.
No, I think that's a good attitude, Shazia. I think you have to. Guys, is everybody like fucking talking about the Bible, quoting the Bible? Everybody, we have like a
It's Sunday.
it's a Sunday service here. We have like a what is it called? You're the Jesus. What is it called? Bible chat.
Sermon
They
or
they
sermon?
they meet
Oh,
every week.
Bible study.
Bible study. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
That's what that's what this should be called. Bible study, where we just talk about sermons and
There's a podcast. Okay, I know
mm,
we got to go soon, but there's a podcast called The Drunk Mormon. Have you listened to it?
who's not listened to it. By
Okay, so it takes an ex Mormon and this girl who likes to drink, and he has to explain the religion to her, but she's drunk. So he'll make her take a shot before, and then he'll go into why they believe this. So all her questions are like, dude, what? Like, wait, you believe what? And so, anyways, it just made me think of that.
where is it? Is it on YouTube or is it on?
It's on any podcast thing. It's really funny.
Oh, it's interesting. It's funny. There's so many podcasts out there. There's just so many different angles, and it's a different market. It's a different world. Like this is podcasting thing never even existed 5 years ago. I mean, now it's part of our society.
It is. If people are out doing something, they still need something in their ears that's like, stimulating the mind. And so podcast makes sense. It's all I listen to when I drive. I don't even listen to music. At one time I drove to Dallas and I think I went through all the episodes of The Drunk Mormon.
That's pretty interesting. I got this joke in my act. I'm like, oh, I'm hearing voices in my head, and they're doing a podcast. Like it's literally that's how podcasting. It's
Yeah,
everywhere.
it's
Uh,
everywhere.
Shazia, I think we should wrap this up. I think we covered a lot this week. I think our fans and followers will be
Well,
happy.
we didn't say, Rico said, knock and it shall be open unto you. That's beautiful.
Does anybody have any questions? Because you have about a minute before we start wrapping this up. Please ask. Shazia is a established actress and farmer in Texas. So if you want to know how to grow your own corn, now's the time, and she can guide you.
Well, corn is sensitive subject because most of the corn left in America all has the GMO seeds in it.
What is a GMO? I don't know what that is.
Genetically modified. So
Ah,
they've taken It's when you take a tomato seed and then you take a fish's, like a fish DNA, and be like, okay, this fish can survive cold temperature. So I'm going to take the DNA sample, I'm going to put it in this tomato so this tomato can survive cold temperature so I can keep making tomatoes outside of season.
Oh, that
That
sounds good. No, that's not good.
And there's chemical, the only way to make it accepted is through a bacteria, because that's
Hmm.
the only way that our so then they'll put a bacteria with the, the new piece that they need in there, and then they have to give it an antibiotic to kill the bacteria, and then you get it with not the way nature intended, also with the pharmaceutical in it.
Yeah. Oh wait, are you vegan or vegetarian?
Currently I'm not. I have been in the past though.
Because I just saw this, like, I don't know if it was a TikTok or something, and he said that humans were not meant to eat meat. He's like, we've adapted for because we can hunt and kill, but we're actually not. I mean, if we were just like living off the land, like our teeth, we're not meant to just eat raw meat or something, like a lion.
I've gone through a lot of phases with this, and I read that yes, only that humans ate meat, and it was small meats like chicken or small animals, and it was only in the winter when nature was not producing the harvest that we need to.
Oh, Shazia, I can't hear you. Shazia, I can't hear you, but Shazia is gonna keep talking. But I want to. I'm sorry. I want to thank you. God bless you. Thanks for listening, Shazia. God muted Shazia, and have a great day. I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye. All right, Shazia. You went black with me, but I'm just gonna end the stream just so it's not too awkward. Have a
Okay.
great day. I'll see you. Bye bye.
Okay, bye.